Hello, welcome everyone. I'm glad that you make it, especially we have a lunch break, and this is a Java conference mostly, and we will be talking about JavaScript. So once again, thank you that you came here. And inspiration to this talk was this tweet. And when I first saw it, I was like, no, JavaScript, you can't be real, right? It doesn't work that way. And then I saw this. And I was started to think, hey, there must be something behind it. And then I saw this. And I like to refer to this meme or tweet or whatever it is, this image, as a king of JavaScript memes. Like everyone is laughing at JavaScript. And I started to think, okay, so there's definitely something behind it. And now let's find out what is it, right? And probably, as a first person in the world, I started to classify JavaScript memes. And it turned out that in most cases, JavaScript meme can be either comparison related or plus sign operator related. And I was like, okay, so if I want to understand those memes, I have to understand how comparison works in JavaScript or how plus operator works in JavaScript, right? And what's the best way, what's the best place to find out how some feature of your language is actually working, right? So obviously it's the documentation. And I assume most of you here are Java developers, and you can consider yourself as a very lucky guy, because if for any reason you forget the link to or where is the official documentation, you can just Google it, right? And the very first link, it's the official Java documentation. I'm not a Java developer, so if that's not correct, please let me know. Same for C# developers. If you forget the documentation, you can just Google it, first link, and you're there, right? How about JavaScript? Well, in JavaScript, it's not so simple, because MDN, although it's a great source of knowledge, it's not the official documentation. And if you want to find it out, there is no link in Google search results at the first 5 pages. I've stopped searching further. Luckily for me, I know what's the link. I know where to find the official JavaScript documentation. And if you want to open it, well, you will see what the single-page application is. They've put entire language documentation into single page. So there's a lot of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Yeah, they take it very seriously. But back to the topic. So I wanted to understand how comparison works in JavaScript. And comparison in JavaScript can be done either by double equal sign or triple equal sign. So how is double equal sign different than triple equal sign comparison? And very often, when I ask that question during the interviews, I got this response, that double equal sign doesn't check types, right? Okay, so let's find out. Let's find out what the official documentation says about it. So what you can see in here is the screenshot from the official documentation. And this is an algorithm behind the double equal sign comparison. And first point, if type X is different than type Y, then do something, right? So for me, it checks the types, right? Okay, let's find out, let's go through this algorithm together. So first step, if types are the same, then return or do the same thing as triple equal sign. So if types are the same, double equal sign, return exactly the same value of triple equal sign comparison. Then what we have is how are null and undefined values treated by this algorithm. So if you want to compare null and undefined using the double equal sign, in both cases you will receive a true. So null and undefined are equal to each other using the double equal sign. Then is the essential of the this double equal sign comparison. So the double equal sign try to compare numbers. It's easy to compare two numbers. And what it does, if some value is not a number, it will try to convert it to number and then do the comparison. So if it's a Boolean, if it's a string, then it will try to convert this Boolean or string to numbers and then compare to numbers. But we can have also an object. We can try to compare objects, right? And how about objects? So objects will be first converted to primitive types. So the object will be converted to Boolean, string, number, whatever it can be, and then compare again. So how is a value converted to a number? It depends on the argument type. So undefined will be converted to none. None is, I would say, most of you would say it's not a number. How something can be converted to number and eventually become not a number, right? That's strange. So none, I'd like to refer it to as not a valid number, but still a number, invalid number, let's call it this way. And null will be converted to 0. Boolean depends on the value, it will become a 1 or 0. For number, there's obviously no conversion. And for string is quite interesting because it will try to look out the literals. And what can be a literal? Literal can be, for example, an empty string will be converted to 0. Infinity as a string will be converted to infinity as a number. Any string number will be converted to number. That's pretty interesting. And for object, it will be first converted to primitive value. So Boolean, string, number, and so on. And then converted to number. So one more time, double equal sign likes to compare numbers, and therefore it will try to convert any value to number and then do the comparison. How about triple equal sign? Well, the algorithm is much simpler. So first point, if types are different, return false. That's it. If types are the same, then depends on the types, do different comparisons. So for example, if both types are undefined, return true. If both types are null, return true. If both types are strings, then if it's exactly the same string, return true, otherwise return false. If both types are Boolean, depends on the value. If they are both true or false, return true, otherwise return false. And if it's object, then if it's the same object, meaning the reference is the same, return true, otherwise return false. So that's basically how, triple equal sign checks if types and values are the same. If one of them is different, return false. And how is plus operator? How that one works in JavaScript? You can find it in the documentation under this name, apply string or numeric binary operator. And this is the algorithm behind it. And half of this is the different operators you can put, because the same algorithm is used not only for addition, but also for subtraction, division, multiplication, and so on and so forth. So this is let's call it a shorter version. So if we have a plus operator, then it would mean that we can do two things. We can either try to concatenate strings or add two values together. And when is the concatenation being made and when is addition being made? So first, we will try to convert both values to primitive values. And then if at least one of them is string, then we will do string concatenation. So if you have a string and number, we will do string concatenation. And if none of them is string, then we will do addition. And how this addition will be made? We will convert both values to number and then add two numbers. And the same algorithm behind it. So if you have, for example, true plus true, well, none of them is string. Therefore, we will convert true to numeric value, meaning 1, and then 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's how it works in JavaScript. And having all those knowledge, we can now explain some JavaScript memes. And I gray out some not relevant to this talk. Let's focus on the rest. So why empty array and empty array? And when we add them together, why they are become an empty string? Empty array is an object. Object will be first converted to primitive type. Primitive type, if you want to convert array, empty array, it will return an empty string. And it will do it because under the hood, it will try to invoke toString or value of operation of empty array. And I think it's toString operation. If you invoke it on empty array, it will return you an empty string. Therefore, empty string plus empty string equals empty string. And then we have empty array plus empty object. Empty array is an empty string. Empty object, well, the type of it is object. Therefore, it will be converted to primitive value. And primitive value of empty object is the string object. Therefore, empty object plus object string will give you this one. The next one empty object plus empty array. This is something specific to Google Chrome. I try to reproduce it in my Node application, in my Angular and React application. Even I try to reproduce it on some sites like, what was it? It was some kind of code stack or something like this, when you can run the JavaScript online. It returns the object string. So this is something related only to Google Chrome. Then we have true plus true plus true, triple equal sign 3. Well, we have addition, because true plus true, none of them is string. Therefore, it will be converted to number value of 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals number value of 3. And number value of 3 triple equals 3, that's true. Then we have true minus true. We have a numeric operation. True will be converted to 1. 1 minus 1 equals 0, as simple as that. And then we have a true double equal sign 1. True will be converted to 1, because double equal sign 1 tries to compare numbers. And, well, 1 equals 1. That's simple as that. But why is true triple equal sign 1 returns false? Because types are different. Very first step of the algorithm. Then we have 9 plus 1 string, right? And one of the operands is the string. Therefore, we have a string concatenation. 9 will be converted to string as 9. Then we have 91 as a string. 91 minus 1, it's a numeric operation. 1 as string will be converted to number. 91 minus 1 equals 90. Very logical. Then we have an empty array. Empty array will be converted to empty string. Empty string, numeric value of empty string is 0. 0 double equal sign 0. As simple as that. It's very logical. And why those people are laughing at JavaScript? Because they don't understand it. They don't know how it works. If you know how it works, it's I know I take it all the fun away from it, but it's very logical. And well, yeah. So at the end, let me introduce myself. My name is Michał Jawulski. I'm working at Capgemini Financial Services. I'm based in Wrocław. Privately, I'm an English Premier League fan, and why? But I'm a supporter of Manchester United, and I'm organizer of workshops in Polish, soft skills for programmers. You can check it online. And I do, from time to time, a little podcast, but the last episode was recorded last year, called Piątki na Produkcji. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under this handle, Jawulski. And that would be it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.